Danny, let's start by talking about your time at City. You were a cult hero, I think, and obviously the old Tiatto, Tiatto, which I thought was a brilliant song for you, epitomised that time. What are your memories of your time at City?
Basically, it was a roller coaster ride. It was a great time for me as a young guy coming over from Australia, and yeah, coming and joining Manchester City, and yeah, the progress we had. The period that I was there for the 6 years was incredible. It was a roller coaster ride, and thoroughly enjoyed that experience. Joining in the old second division and getting promoted to the first, and then getting promoted to the Premier League, back down again, back up again. So it was definitely yeah, definitely a highlight of my career and one that I thoroughly enjoyed, being a part of.
How did you end up in England then from Australia?
Well, basically, I played in the '96 Olympics over in Atlanta in the USA, and was scouted, and then went over to Italy first for about a year and a half in the Serie B, and then yeah, then got went to Stoke on loan, played at Stoke for about 6 7 months. Played against Manchester City when Joe Roll had taken over, and done quite well. And on the off season, they inquired about me, and yeah, basically as soon as I found out that they were interested, and looked up the history of the club. Yeah, it was a no brainer to jump on board, and go for the ride.
The fact that you went to Italy then, does that suggest that Tiatto is of Italian origin?
Yeah, well, my parents, yeah, originally from Italy, just on the outskirts of Venice. So again, for my dad, that was a bit of a highlight for him, that I got to go back play in his home country, and play in the Serie B, which was great. But yeah, my passion was always to get over to the UK, and that intensity of football suited my style down to a T.
We know that City now are this enormous worldwide club, but in the days that you joined the club, did you see it as a big club at the time? Is that how it felt to you when you signed?
Originally, when I'd signed and we started pre-season, again, I'd sort of seen a little bit of the history, and seen that the club had sort of been up there and dominant over the previous years, but well before I was there. And then sort of, yeah, just knowing they went back into the second division. But my eyes were quite opened when we started the season at Main Road, and in the old second division, and a crowd of 32,000 turned up at Main Road. It was incredible, and you wouldn't think a club in the second division would pull that crowd. So I knew it was going to be special, and one that yeah, I really enjoyed.
Was it fun being a City player? I mean, I know we know about the serious stuff and playing on the field, but off the field, I mean, for example, I was involved in the Junior Blues at the time, and I actually remember presenting you with an award at the annual awards ceremony. I think it was in the social club next to the ground. Was that fun times? Did it feel different maybe than it is becoming now, much more of a business?
Yeah, it was great. I think it helped because we had a great bunch of boys. Everyone worked hard for each other. Joe Roll was a great manager to play under as well, and yeah, again, because we won a lot of games, over those first couple of seasons, it was enjoyable. We had, yeah, like I said, we had more ups and downs those first 2 seasons that I was there. Yeah, we got into the Premier League and got relegated, but again, I think just that camaraderie, and yeah, the boys that we had at the club at the time that I was there was great. And yeah, again, we really looked after each other on and off the field, which is great.
I'm bound to say this because I'm a City fan, but the City fans are pretty special lot, aren't they? With a sort of self-deprecating humour, etc. You must have met loads of City fans down the years. Are they different than other fans of other clubs?
Definitely, I think again, I could just see by the support and how they turned up when we were back in the second division. I straight away knew, what, they're special supporters, because a lot of supporters would turn away, and not really come and follow and back the team. So that was one thing that I knew straight away, that if I could perform and do well, and and get stuck in and try and endear myself to the supporters, I was never going to have a problem with the Manchester City supporters. And again, they had a roller coaster ride. The period that I was there, and I think for the way the club's gone now and the success they've got now, they supporters at Manchester City thoroughly deserve it, and it's great to see where the club has risen to being one of the best clubs definitely in the world now.
Behind closed doors where we fans and journalists would never see. There must have been pranks played. Are there one or two jokers in the pack during your time? Can you tell us any stories? Anything happened to you?
It was always a good bunch of boys. It was always there was always, clothes getting torn up and ripped, and deep heat put into your underwear and stuff. But I think one that stood out was probably Kevin Horlock. And in the preseason training, he's come in a bit earlier. It was very warm, and we've had a big session, and we're drinking out of the big Gatorade container that was sitting on top of the table. Everyone's getting their cups and drinking away, and you can see him in the background. They're just laughing his head off after everyone had gone through it, and we take the container off, and he's got his sweaty jocks in there and socks and stuff. So yeah, after that it was I always had to be wary of Kevin, but he was a character for sure.
You ever get him back?
No, I think a fair bit of his clothes got torn up by a lot of the boys after that. And shoes gone missing and stuff. So I think everyone had it in for him every now and then.
What's your favourite memory on the field? I suppose that's what every fan asks. What stands out for you?
Again, those United derbies was always intense. At the time when I was there, United were one of the strongest teams in Europe and in the world. So getting one over them was always tough for us. And I think the one that stood out was probably the last home game at Main Road against United. And we ended up winning that 3-1, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And one game that I always treasure because I ended up getting man of the match after that game and getting a big bottle of champagne that I've still got to this day.
No disrespect to you, Danny, but I can't believe that Sean Golter, for that goal when Gary Neville assisted him, didn't get man of the match. I mean, that was a game we'll never forget, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I reckon Sean Gator probably should have got that, but I think because I rattled into a lot of their boys, I think someone said just give it to Danny because he's tormenting them and getting them upset. But Sean Gator was immense in that game as well, and it was, and Nicholas Anelka, so it was a great game.
You had an absolute will to win. Where did that come from, Danny?
I think just growing up in Australia, my dad was always, very a fierce competitor himself. So again, I think he instilled it in a young age at me to never give up, never back down. Always want to win games, compete against, doesn't matter how big or small the opponents are, and have that never die attitude. And again, I stepped over the line a number of times there at City and got myself sent off. But again, it was just because I hated losing, and I tried everything I could to make sure that I could impose myself in a game and try and win the game. So again, it's a tricky trait. I think at these days, I don't think I would have lasted too long on the field these days. But again, at the time, the football was quite tough and physical back then. So it was something that I don't have any regrets about.
You're speaking to us, of course, from your home in Australia, and now there's a team out there, Melbourne City. Does that feel like a City team out there? Do you ever go and watch them?
I've watched them a number of times. I had actually a friend of mine, Paddy Casnorbo, that I had, he was at Leicester with me as a teammate and then went on to Leeds. And then he actually took over that club and ended up winning the league. And so I had close ties with them, and it was always great to see that club do well. And again, I think because they've got the structure of the City Group and, they've got the right facilities, they've got the right people involved at the club, and they're bringing the right players. That's why they've been successful over a number of years now. So it's good to see them, following the same path as the City Group has got a number of clubs all over the world now. So it's good to see them do well as well.
I presume the fans have embraced City as well now, because at first they had a different strip. Then they wore red and white stripes, if I'm not mistaken. Now they wear sky blue. Now they're called City rather than Heart. They're very much part of the group. But I can understand perhaps one of the older fans, diehards, might have resisted it. But I assume they're all happy now, are they?
Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, I think when they were called Melbourne Heart at the time, they struggled. They didn't have, the right structure, the right people involved in the club. And I think soon as the City Group took it over, it all changed, and they saw the upside of that straight away. And I think the way Manchester City has gone, I don't think people down in Melbourne would be embarrassed to wear that sky blue shirt. So I think they embraced it quite quickly and saw the direction the club was going. So I think it probably changed a lot of people's minds quite quickly over the years.
What's your reaction to the modern Manchester City, the Pep Guardiola all-conquering team? I mean, obviously, I know the time difference will be a bit restrictive for necessarily watching every game live. I don't know what time, it's probably middle of the night for you, but do you watch them, and what do you think of Pep's team?
Yeah, it's a team that how can you not want to watch them? The football they play, the style they play, the coach, the players. Again, it's phenomenal. It's great to see them play week in, week out. Again, I'll probably get up for more more the bigger games, really, to be honest. Yeah, because it usually is around about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning here. So it's a bit tricky. It depends if I've had a night out, I might stay up and watch it and fall asleep halfway through. But no, it's hard to fall asleep when you watch that side. You know, the amount of chances they create, the goals they score, the ability and technique of every single player in that squad over a lot of years now has gone to another level, and that's why they're the greatest team in the world.
You reckon you could slot in with Nathan Ake or Sergio Gomez, or it might be Gvardiol these days on the left-hand side of defence? Would you fit in, do you think?
I'd say it's very hard. I think I'd be good probably as a kitman or the water boy these. I think now because again the players are world class. They've picked from all over the world, and they're at their peak of their performance and their pinnacle. So, to be honest, again, I know the game has evolved over a lot of years now. I've been out of the game for a lot of years. So to be honest, no, I think I'd find it very hard to fit into that side. So again, I just appreciate the ability and technique that the players have got these days, and I sit back from afar and love watching them with my family.
I know you've done some coaching as well. I mean, the unending question is, what is it that Pep does that's so different from everybody else that makes him so special? Have you got an answer to that?
I think it's just the ability to identify players, that he's bringing in. Again, a lot of people say he spends a lot of money, but he's spending the money on the right type of player that's going to fit into his system, fit into the style of play that he wants, the right character as well, that doesn't ruffle the feathers, with any of the players and the coaching staff. And you can just see, he's just got everyone, working to the same goal, and that's to be the best club, to win everything as much as possible, and be the best and greatest club there ever has been. So again, I think it just puts it down to how clever Pep is as a coach, that why the club has gone from strength to strength every year, and he doesn't make too many wrong signings. So that's why the club is so strong, and the team's so great.
How's life treating you these days, Danny? I mean, I assume you're into fish. Do you go fishing? You got a fish tank there behind you. Are you into fishing? What do you do these days?
Well, I live up in Queensland on the Gold Coast, so we live on the water, and into me boating and jet skiing, and into me old American muscle cars. So again, just enjoying the lifestyle here, and I haven't really got the patience for fishing. Every now and then, if a fish dies in that, I might stick it on the barbie, but no, to be honest, just enjoying the warm weather and the lovely climate that we've got here. So again, I'm originally from Melbourne, but I try to live there, but the climate was a little bit similar to Manchester, and I'd sort of had enough of that. So I moved up to the Queensland, where the weather is quite warm all year round, and definitely enjoying the lifestyle here.
Are we likely to see you in Manchester anytime soon?
Yeah, hopefully next year sometime, maybe towards the end of the next year, maybe over that Christmas period when there's a lot of games on. So hopefully I'll get over there next year with my family, and show them my old stomping ground, and come and watch a few games, and meet up with a couple of old teammates and friends that I'd sort of met over the years.
Well, it's a pleasure to speak to you. And obviously, every City fan listening to me will want me to say, thank you, Danny, for what you did. And you're an absolute cult hero. And they probably all want to sing to you, Tia, 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 to, Tia, to. I mean, do you ever get sick of that? I mean, people must sing, when you're with City fans, they'll always sing that to you, won't they?
Yeah, there's a few down in Melbourne, the Manchester Blues down there. Every time I pop down there, every now and then they sort of have a bit of a sing along, with that. So again, it's something that's sort of stuck over the years. But like I said, I get quite embarrassed of it these days. So that's a long time ago.
There's a lot of players though who have songs that effectively become the same song. So it might be, he's one of our own, or something like. But you have a unique. I've never heard anybody else singing to that song. Tia tia
Yeah.
tia. So that's your song, though, isn't it? One and only.
That is, yes. I should be happily and privileged, that they sing that song to me. So I can't complain.
Well, just remember this, Danny, and you know this. Isn't it great to be a Blue?
It sure is, and always a blue. So I love it, and continue the force that they are at Manchester City, and hopefully they can win everything again this year. It'll be great to see that.